Hi everyone, greetings. I'm Abel Matthew. I am an Auth0 ambassador. Today let us try to understand how we can assign default avatars to the users of our applications using Auth0 Actions. So if you take a look at my screen, I am logged into a sample project. This sample project is the same sample project that you get while you download the React Starter SDK. You can use the same concept on any of the platforms that you are comfortable with. I am taking the example of React. I am signed in using my mail ID, which is hi@designernight.com. And you can see that the avatar is a default avatar provided, which is hi, the first name that is of my mail address. What if we could add a bit of customization to it? What if we could add a bit of brand image to it? What if we could assign something that is going to make the user experience a bit more feel personalized, something that would provide them a warm greetings? And that's where Auth0 Actions come in. We want to do this process automated instead of the users themselves going and uploading an image. And the advantage of this is, A, if the user does not have an image in their database, this would provide a default image. And B, if you are using this in an organization, you could have consistent image style of, let's say, some theme based image style across the entire project that you have. And C, it could come useful in times like you have a festival like Christmas coming and you want to have some Christmas themed avatars for all of the users. So that's the advantage of automating this entire process. The other advantage is that if you're using Auth0, then you can have multiple applications within the same tenant as well. So automating this at the user level of within Auth0 is going to make sure that all the users of your application, be it on mobile app, be it desktop, all of them get the same default avatar that you have assigned it to them. So let us try to dive into how we can do it. For the sake of this example, building this product, I'm taking the example of an open sourced avatar generation library, which is by Boring Designers by the name Boring Avatars. It is available for free on GitHub. This is the GitHub repository, and this is the website that you have for them. This website, if you take a look, the way that it is built is that we have got multiple themes over here. So you can have any of the themes. All of these are SVG images, pretty minimized in terms of sizes, so they are not network intensive. You can assign all of them to the users that you have. So for the sake of this example, let us take the example of the beam style, and there are multiple parameters that you can pass into to generate avatars, random avatars. So we can randomize the palette, we can have different shapes, or depending on the names that I give. Like let's say I gave Auth0 Action over here, and you see that an image is generated. If I just make it plural Auth0 Actions, a new image is generated. So we get uniquely generated images for each of the users, and all of them are following a consistent theme. So that provides an overall brand image if you are using this based on the brand colors that you have. So quickly taking a look into how you can actually get this done for the tenant that you have. So the first thing that we would do is go to Auth0 dashboard, which is manage.auth0.com, log in with your mail address and go to the tenant that you have. Once you have done that, go to the action section. The flow starts by initially building an action and then assigning it appropriate triggers. What could be triggers? We'll cover it up in the next section. So first I go to library. I already have the action created. I'll just quickly show you the entire process. We also have marketplace actions. You don't have to worry about it. So if you go to custom, you can create your own custom actions. So click on build custom if you're starting it off. You can give it your name. The trigger is post login / login. So this action is an extension to your entire login flow. This login flow action would get triggered during the flow of user actually signing in. The reason why I have added it over here and not at the place of sign up is to make sure that just in case the sign up trigger does not get triggered in some example scenarios, like during social sign on, sometimes the sign up trigger does not get triggered at Auth0 Actions. So using the login trigger with the condition that I'll show right now is going to make sure that it works consistently, even if it's a mail ID sign in or a social sign in based on a provider like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, GitHub, any of those providers that Auth0 has provided, or any of the ones that you have customized and used. So once you have done that, you would land into the Auth0's Actions Builder code editor. It comes by default with this chunk of code, which is exports.on execute post login. Quickly copy pasting the code so that I can explain it to you. This is going to be the code that we are using. So I have put an if condition over here, which is if we are storing the user's image in a property that is avatar. where are we storing this avatar property? Within the user metadata. The reason why we are storing it within users metadata is because if at all down the line you want to add a functionality wherein you want to provide the users the functionality to change the avatar, users metadata data is the right place wherein the application developers like us can modify the data, and the user could also modify his or her own data, and that's the place where we put it in the user metadata property. So the user metadata can be modified both by the user and the application. So we are assigning an avatar property to the user metadata, and that's where we are storing the image. So we conditionally check if the avatar property does not exist, this entire chunk of code does not get executed. So you can assume that this entire conditional make sure that we assign an avatar if an avatar is not already assigned. That's essentially what we are trying to do over here. And if it is not assigned, we are using two libraries over here. One is Axios to make API calls to the boring avatars API. That's where we get all the images that we want. And another one to convert the SVG into base64 image URL, because base64 is going to make sure that we are able to render it immediately and it is minified as well. And we don't want to pollute the HTML that we have with an SVG coming from an external source, and hence we are using a base64 one, and it makes the process of handling it easier. So those are the two libraries that we are using. So we make an API call to the boring avatars one. We are getting the user's mail ID from the event object, which is user.mail. The reason why we are using mail is because the mail is going to be unique for each of the users, and this mail property, a unique property, makes sure that the avatar is going to be unique for each of the times that you're generating it for each different user. The same way that you saw that the name is a unique property, we are passing this email into the name property of boring avatar. So if you go to the documentation and scroll down, you see one of the property is name. So the name is essentially going to be a parameter which defines the avatar that you get. So into the name property, we are passing the email because email is unique in our system design, and hence we are passing them. We could pass the name as well. The only caveat in passing name is that if two people having different mail IDs have same name, a common name, let's say like John Smith, in that scenario, both of them would be having the same image. To make sure we have unique images, we are using mail as the parameter in this name property of this boring avatars API that we have. So once we have done that, we convert the response that we get in SVG format into a data, and then we set it into the user metadata property. Once you have added these two libraries from npm, you have to make sure that you go into the modules directory and you add them over here by clicking add module, because if you don't do that, then the actions does not get triggered. And once that is done, you can test your actions by clicking this play button, which is to test essentially using dummy user. So if everything works well and you click on run, then the actions is working perfectly. So once that is done, you can save the draft and you can click on deploy. Once you click deploy, this actions is ready to be used, but it is not yet wired to your entire login flow. So how do you get started to that? For that, you need to go into flow section, and we want to add it to the login flow because that's how we designed it, isn't it? So we go to the login flow. So in your case, it would be start and then complete. So you should go to custom. Custom is where your custom build actions would be coming up. So go there, select the actions that you have just built in the library section, drag and drop it over here. And once you have done that, your action is ready to go. Click on apply, and then all the changes are saved. And now we can actually utilize this. But to actually utilize this, you need to make slight changes to your React project. And the reason I would quickly explain. So what is the end goal that we're trying to achieve? The end goal that we're trying to achieve is that if I go to the profile section and I wait for it to load, for my mail ID based on the unique parameters that I provided, which is higher than in designandnight.com, this is the image that gets generated for that color palette. And even if I reload, that image is consistent, and that's essentially how we want it to be. So if you can see, this is the one that is coming by default on the top, but this is the one that we're assigning it. You can replace the one on the top also by modifying the code. I have put both of them on screen so that you can actually compare them. So to actually get this done, you need to get the image back from the user metadata property. And how do you get that is something that I'll quickly show you. The way the profile component is designed is that we're directly getting the user.image property. We were essentially getting the user.picture property directly from the ID token. And now we want to get the avatar property from the user metadata. To get the information from the user metadata, you need to get access token, and to get access token, you need to assign the right scopes to the application, which is this front-end application over here. So the first step is you have to make sure that the Auth0 provider that you're using is configured with the right provider information. in which case we want the scope to be assigned the read user scope. This is coming from property in this project configuration, but you can have it directly assigned over here. The configuration that we want in this case is going to be scope is read current user, because we want to the ability to read the current user. That's essentially the permission that we are wanting. So make sure that we have that. And also the other change that you have to make is that the audience has to be Auth0 management API, because we are going to make an API call to Auth0's management API. So we assign this over here. So it's going to be your https colon double slash your tenant slash API slash v2. So I have put that in the audience section as well. So once both of these properties are configured along with the initial ones, which are the domain and the client ID, you're good to go in the initial steps. So that you can see from that property, I have extracted them out and I have the scope, the audience, all of them assigned over here. And now if you go back to the profile section, the Auth0 SDK for React comes with one of the hooks, which is use Auth0 hook, and one of the methods within that is get access token silently. So what we want, the flow is we are getting the access token silently from the user, and once we get the access token silently, we are making an API call to Auth0's management API and getting the user metadata. And once we get that, we are assigning the same into React state, which is set avatar and avatar in this scenario, and then we are showing the image in this case. So that's the basics of how the entire application works. You get a beautiful avatar. You can have this done for any of the users that you want, and make sure that the entire flow of the user's experience, initial login flow, is not hampered. You don't have to tell them to assign avatars, and the application does it under the hood by using Auth0 Actions. If you want to learn more about Auth0 Actions, you can check out the Auth0's Actions documentation, amazing videos that we have on the YouTube channel, and also some of the amazing blogs that we have. Thank you.